Hello, my name is Owen, and welcome to a quick review of Lucy Foley's The Midnight Feast. What I want to do is give a brief overview of the book's about, tell you the things that I liked, and tell you the things that I didn't like. Jumping straight into it, this is a new book, a 2024 release, and can you believe that I read it? I'm doing it more and more nowadays, but this came out last month in June of 2024. I listened to this as an audiobook, also something that I don't do all the time, but I'm doing more and more frequently, it seems, nowadays. And this is one of those, I was going to say dramatic reading, but a lot of them are dramatic, but it was like an ensemble cast audiobook read, which is like my first proper one of those. I've done ones where it's like two people. This was like every single POV character had their own voice actor, and I'm going to be honest with you, it was well done. Props to the cast of this audiobook reading. They did a very good job, and it was the version, don't know any other names, sorry. It was the version that's on Spotify, my free audiobook of the month, or I guess it's not free because I pay for the subscription. It's the one that I get a month without paying additional. It's that version, in case you're curious. But it's about a resort that's in the middle of this forest, and this rich woman has kind of taken it over, wants to make this fancy pants resort, and then the locals aren't too happy about it. And that's basically how we start. It's the grand opening of this resort, and a little bit of mystery ensues, a little bit of hijinks. The people are mad at her, strange things start happening, and there's this mysterious organization, the Birds. Is it a group of people? Is it a group of magical beings that protect the forest? We're not quite sure, but tensions are high and the mystery starts to build. We follow a lot of POV characters, I believe. Four main characters, and then we also get flashbacks with one of the main character, Bella, and her journal from the past of like her originally running into these characters and in this place, this setting. And from what I understand of Lucy Foley's work, I know she's up and coming. I see her name on all the big titles nowadays. Her specialty is ensemble casts and switching POVs and then kind of having all those storylines converge and all the POVs converge into a satisfying conclusion. That's what I got from this going in. Without knowing anything about what the plot was about or really what the author was about, I knew that it was an ensemble cast and these things are going to converge. And she has a little bit of mystery, thriller type tone. And you know what? I think the atmosphere was absolutely there. I was a little bit creeped out. This kind of supernatural cult vibe of like these birds and like the nature seems to be fighting back at these people, but it's also like a creepy tone, like murder and bird masks and dead cows and stuff like that. It's kind of that vibe going on here. And I think another very, very strong thing that I really liked off the bat of this book was these POV characters. I think Foley did a great job at creating these sympathetic characters for a lot of our main protagonists. They felt well-rounded and likable. And then for the ones that were more villainy POVs, I think it was easy to hate them. Very easy to hate them, and yet you didn't hate them so much that you didn't want to hear where they were coming from or what their mindset was at any given moment. And Foley really does a great job of balancing our protagonists and our antagonists throughout the way. And it gets to the point like with this building mystery of what are the birds and how sinister are they, where even if they start to turn against our antagonist, you start to worry, like for the antagonist, like you're scared for them, which I think is a great like masterclass in tone and character work there. And she does a great job of building up these characters, and I will say this is a good thing, I think, but it's also a criticism. This is a slower burn book. The author does a lot of setup with these characters, allowing us to sit with them and get to know them, which, if you guys know anything about me, you know I love a good slice of life book. Sit with these characters, let them see them in normal everyday life before we take them to the fantastical. Some would argue, and perhaps I would argue this, that it maybe was a little bit too long of a runway for building these characters up, because the first, and I don't know how long the audio ended up being, but the first like third, I would say, pure build up, and I was loving it. I'm like, when shit hits the fan, I'm gonna be eating this up because I've got to know these characters. I got to sit with them a little bit in their everyday life, just doing their jobs. One of the characters, he's a wannabe bartender at this place, but he's from like the farmlands. He's not a part of this high society. He's trying to work himself in. Very, very sympathetic character, likable character that I really enjoyed sitting with. So we're getting to know him. We're getting to know the Bella, the reporter, who's trying to figure out what this resort all about. Francesca, the rich owner, her husband Owen, great name by the way, and he's kind of like obsessed with Francesca, but he's got his own secrets as well. We're building up all these characters, and I'm waiting for like the mystery to really take hold, right? And then we start getting introduced to Bella's backstory. through her summer journal. And I'm like, okay, this is where the mystery starts going to unfold, but we really go back to slice of life, but in the past of one of the characters, and that takes like another third of the book to really start getting to the point where it's like, what happened in the past that Bella is back and looking for something and so obsessed with this place. So it was almost like we were doing setup to get to more setup, but in the past, and they were both leading up to what the mystery was at the same time of the mystery coming to head in the present, which I feel like was strange structure, because I feel like normally in books like this, you'd have the flashback to just reveal what happened after we get to the setup. So at times it felt like, okay, now we're setting up the same character in the present and the past, and not that it was bad, it was a lot of setup. And I really don't think the plot fully came into focus until probably over 2/3 into the book. Like, I didn't understand like what the mystery was and what the birds, this mystical force, was trying to get revenge for. So there was the mystery of like, what is this group? Are they real? And then also, what is the thing that Francesca did that is making them so mad? Both of these mysteries, I feel like, took a little bit too long to come to fruition. I get holding on to one to the very end, but both of them just made it feel like, where are we going with this? This feels like regular people doing a regular thing because you're taking too long to reveal what I'm supposed to be worried about or what I'm supposed to be hoping for these characters, I guess, if that makes sense. I think that Eddie, our wannabe bartender character, I think he had a great arc with just trying to like assert his self-confidence and stuff like that. And there's like the side arc with his ex-girlfriend and then like the local guy who's like kind of a dick and that kind of building up. And that was interesting enough to carry me through. But then some of the other POVs, like the Owen POV, because we don't know what the mystery is, he kind of feels like, why is he talking so much? Like, why should I care about Francesca's husband? We don't like Francesca. Why should we care about his husband? And I will say this. To Lucy Foley's credit, it does all come together. The vision makes sense to me. Once it's revealed what that mystery is, what happened in those flashbacks, what was the inciting incident, it really all ties it together. And I think the flashbacks with the characters that are all explored and all the, I guess, how do I want to say this without spoiling it? So the flashbacks with Francesca and Bella, the characters that they meet in the flashbacks, how that plays into the present day was very satisfying to me. Without spoiling like who those characters are or how they play into the modern day, how the past converges with the present and everybody's POV was very, very satisfying to me. And it makes it abundantly clear why Foley chose the POV characters that she did. And that was incredibly satisfying. So I think the build up. I'm a fan of slow burns. So some people might just be instantly bored if they try to read the first half of this book. I liked it, and I will say it was testing my patience a little bit. But when we got to that payoff point, it did pay off, and I really did enjoy that. The only thing is, I felt like the absolute climax and how the very end of the book was, it wasn't quite as bombastic as I was hoping for. I was hoping for slightly a bigger payoff with the birds and the cult and the mystery of it. I think the inciting incident is fine of what that was revealed to be, but I was hoping for a little bit more. How these characters wrap up, I think is kind of a little bit unsatisfying for some of them and a little bit strange direction for other ones. I think especially Eddie's character, how his character arc ends at the very, very end of the book, wasn't necessarily expecting it. Not that it was super out of left field, but it didn't really leave me on a satisfied note. I didn't feel like I bought it the whole way. And again, I don't want to spoil what that is, how that goes there, because overall, I think the conclusion of this book, it made sense, and the build up with the characters made it pay off. So I appreciate Foley putting in the legwork to build up these characters and build up this world. And overall, if I was to give a synopsis of my thoughts, it was enjoyable. I think I was sold on Foley as an author. Like I said, I see that name, Lucy Foley, on a lot of books these days, and that signature look like it's handwritten font at the bottom and a splash of color. I see it more and more now, and I didn't realize this was a brand new release when I picked it up, but I'm glad I did. And you know what? We'll add Lucy to our rotation, right? And it was an enjoyable time. I think, again, the cast of this audiobook reading was very, very good. The fact that they could start talking, each had their own in distinct performances. I instantly know who the character was, and they did great performances all around. definitely added to the experience. I think it's a great way to read an ensemble book because we know audiobooks are hit or miss for me. Either I think they are good or sometimes they even ruin a book for me. But I think the performances, the ensemble cast, I think it really worked well for this particular type of story, and it kind of maybe helped some of those slower parts get through because the performances were so solid. So maybe I recommend this in audiobook, which is not something I normally do. But like I said, great read, fun read. I liked a bit of mystery. I liked the tone. The parts where we got super like creepy and supernatural, I really, really enjoyed those parts. Wish there was a little bit more at times, especially towards the end. But overall, not too much to complain about. I think it was a fun read, and if you're a fan of Lucy Foley, I'm sure you'll enjoy this one, although I don't know if this is her best book or her worst book, to be honest with you, but I enjoyed it, and if you're looking for a new release, I think it's a solid one to pick up, and if you are a fan of Lucy Foley, let me know where I should go next. I think there was the Paris Apartment, I think is what it's called, is another big one I see a lot. I think that's her book, right? The something apartment, perhaps. I think it's the Paris Apartment, but it's very, very solid. I'll say that. It's a solid book. It was a good read. I'm glad I read it. And let me know if you guys have read this book, what you thought in the comments, what you thought of the ending, or what you think of Lucy Foley as an author. But that's all I got for you guys. Be sure to like and subscribe if you like the video and you want to see more like in the future. And as always, thanks for sticking around.